In most ancient religious traditions, the statues of the gods were carved to last. They were typically fashioned from eternal materials, stone, marble, or gold, and housed in exclusive inner sanctums where they were fed divine offerings far removed from the decay of the mortal world. The Jagannath Temple in Puri, with its massive tiered spires, fits this grand architectural pattern perfectly. But the figures inside are different. Lord Jagannath is a wooden stump with unblinking eyes and no limbs. This use of wood creates a specific cycle. Unlike stone idols, these figures eventually age and decay. Every 8 to 19 years, the old idols are ritually buried, and priests carve an entirely new set from a fresh tree. It is an unusual choice for a major religion. Despite having the engineering skill to create immortal monuments, this tradition centers on a deity that accepts physical fragility. To find the source of this wooden form, we have to look past the stone walls of the temple and toward the ancient forests. The Skanda Purana describes the god's origin as a floating Daru log. Long before the deity was housed in Puri, he was worshipped by the indigenous Savara people, a tribal group whose ancestral traditions relied on wood rather than stone. This geometry has led researchers to another layer of history. Some believe the limbless, circular-eyed form evolved from the three-pronged Triratna symbol, a common relic in Buddhist worship. This is an example of syncretism. As different cultures and religions moved through the region, the Jagannath tradition absorbed their signatures rather than erasing them. The idol's unusual shape acts as a visible timeline of this history. It retains the signatures of the tribal woodcarver and the Buddhist monk, allowing them to coexist within a single figure. The Jagannath Temple operates on a domestic rhythm. The daily routine is a 24-hour cycle that manages the needs of the deity as if he were the head of a busy household. Priests treat the god with the same care one would give a family member. They wake him in the morning, offer him water to brush his teeth, and when he is ritually considered unwell, they even provide him with traditional medicine. Even the food offerings bridge the gap between the divine and the local population. For his 9 a.m. breakfast, the deity is served pakala, a simple dish of fermented water rice that has been a staple for local farmers for centuries. According to temple legend, this humble meal was elevated to its sacred status through the devotion of Urmila, a character from the Ramayana. Her sacrifice transformed a peasant's daily staple into the highly revered Mahaprasad. By assigning the deity a human routine and a local diet, the temple effectively brings the supreme being into the daily life of the community. In many historical kingdoms, monarchs used religious rituals to reinforce their distance from the common people. But the Dajapati kings of Odisha are tied to a different ritual. According to legend, King Purushottama Deva was once rejected by a neighboring ruler because he performed the Cheta Pahandra, the act of sweeping the floor in front of the deity's chariot. The story of the Kanchi Abhijana claims that when the king was insulted for his menial service, the deity himself rode into battle on a white horse to defend him. It is a tradition that persists to this day. The king of Odisha, the highest political authority in the state, still begins the annual festival by sweeping the path for the gods with a golden broom. Historically, many temples operated with strict rules about who was allowed to enter their inner sanctums, often barring those of lower castes or different faiths. The Rath Yatra festival changes this dynamic. Because many people were traditionally unable to enter the temple to see the god moves toward them, leaving the temple to visit the public in the streets. This procession is a massive engineering effort. Every year, new multi-story wooden chariots are built from scratch, requiring thousands of volunteers to pull the heavy ropes and move the gods through the crowd. British colonial observers who saw these massive wooden structures moving through the crowds were struck by their scale. They transliterated Jagannath into the English word juggernaut, using it to describe any massive, unstoppable force. While the British focused on the mechanical force of the chariots, for the devotees, the power was in the act of service. Pulling the rope is considered a way to connect directly with the deity, outside the formal rules of the temple. This specific focus on accessibility allowed the Jagannath tradition to move easily beyond its regional borders. Today, Rath Yatra is a global event. Organizations pull replicas of the original Puri chariots through the streets of major international cities, from Manhattan to Paris. The persistence of Jagannath's worship suggests that for many, the most enduring form of the divine is not one that stays locked away in a temple, but one that is willing to share a local meal and walk among the public.